Hi everybody, welcome to Such Is Life with Vicky Dominguez and
Marcy
Dominguez.
Dominguez or Marcela Dominguez.
Well, I just found out she hates Marcy and I didn't know that.
I hate being called Marcy.
Why?
Because it sounds so like Marcy. I don't know. Wasn't there like a Marcy on that Al Bundy show, like Married with Children? And they just didn't live the kind of lifestyle that a Marcy would want to live.
I don't know. I'm Mexican. I didn't watch that show. I have no idea.
Listen, I shouldn't have watched that show. Even though I'm American, I was probably like 5 years old when I first saw it, and it's not a 5-year-old show. It's not on Nickelodeon.
I mean, I know what show you're talking about.
Yeah.
I just don't know. So anyway, this is Such Is Life, and we'll be talking about a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like what? Tell them.
Like everything from motherhood to dating apps and the single life, which is my case. So tell me about you. First of all.
No, I'm going to interview you first.
Okay.
Because you're the one that has a much more interesting life.
That's not true.
Okay.
She has 3 kids. She has a podcast. She's a lawyer. I mean, she rocks it.
Yeah, but this girl like lives a single life, and we all have been there when we were once single, and we know that single life can be super exciting. So I'm gonna ask her. I'm asking you right now.
Okay.
What is it? Tell everybody what your life has been like the last 30 days. Like, give us a rundown of what it is.
Starting the last week of October to like mid-November, I was in New York. I was there for a job function, but then I also was there to be with friends, and then I ran into some social experiments of my own. I'm a mental health counselor by education, so I'm always observing people. And I can't help but, just get into the whole dynamics of how society works. And in this case, because I was in New York, it was very much kind of like the dating app world, the millennial aspect of our lives that I think we're in denial about, where we are millennials.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we don't fully embrace that. So I found that very interesting because it's fun.
Okay, well, tell everybody why it was fun. What did you do what was a glimpse of the last 30 days? You went to New York. Why were you there? Who did you see? Who did you meet? And where did you go?
I see, that's too much information.
Well, that's what I want to know, and I'm sure that's what they want to know too. Is you're a mental, okay, so you have this education, but like you weren't there as part of.
No, I wasn't there. No, I wasn't there as to do therapy or anything. No.
So where were you there?
Initially the trip started because I was there to be with a friend for whom she's one of my dear friends, and she has a magazine, and she was running for these awards for like content for magazine, which she won, so we were super proud of her. And I go in and out of her organization, and so anyway, she invited me, and that was why I initially ended up in New York. But then I have friends living there from my whole life, and I said, well, why not? If I'm already going to stay 5 days, then I might as well stay 3 weeks.
Okay, most people would be like 5 days, let's do a long weekend, so a total of 10 days. Okay, you extended it out to 3 weeks.
Yes, so it's the first time. It's not the first time, but it's really, yes, the first time I'm completely alone, just exploring the world.
You can obviously tell she's single, right? Because a mother would never be able to be like, oh, by the way, kids, I'm not coming back for another 2 weeks, okay? So...
But the perks of life, I mean...
Oh, for sure.
Like, you have things that, we often talk about this, and how, like, you can't compare one thing to another. It's totally different.
Yes, we can. We can compare one thing to another. Right now, well, yeah, okay, but right now, that's why this is interesting, because I want to know what she did in those extra 2 weeks that I would have never been able to be like, peace, kids. So New York. Let's get back to New York.
Yes.
So what did you do in those 2 weeks? A glimpse. Just give people a glimpse, not details.
Okay, so I met a lot of people. I took a lot of courses. I'm
courses. What kind of courses?
Well, I'm a meditation teacher. So I took courses about like energy management and.
Did you really? I didn't know that.
No, it was super awesome. About healing. About
Where did you take
the emotions
courses?
That the body carries. With like the traumas we experience. I took them in all sorts of places, but I took this class that's precisely known as the class. That's the name. And if you're ever in New York, and you have some cash to splurge, you should go. It's like the best experience in the world.
Where was it?
So they have their studio in, I think it's Park Avenue. And then they do like residences in other places. And this girl, her name is, this woman, I mean, she's just so incredible. Her name is JC Gossett, I think. I follow her on Instagram. I'm not sure that's how you say her name, but she was the teacher. And I had researched this, and I used to live in Miami, so every time they came, it wasn't, I never got to it. I never got to it. And then when I went to, like, one of my purposes when I was in New York, I was like, I need to take this class. I need to go to the class. And I cannot even tell you how life-changing it was. It's incredible. So it's like you're in a rave / healing ceremony / boot camp / I don't know.
All in a day?
No, all in an hour.
What?
Yes. So the setup is beautiful. I mean, it's very, they make it to be like a very sacred space. And she explains to you, like, it's
my gosh, you kind of just described motherhood. Do you realize that? Like, all in an hour, you go from being in this sacred space of, like, I'm so blessed to have children, to, gosh damn it, somebody come save me. To, like, being in a rave when the Disney Channel's on and everybody's Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. So, yeah, so.
I thought we were in Baby Shark for some reason.
Oh, Baby Shark too? I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but anyways, okay, go on.
So, you see, we're not as different.
No, that's what I thought we were.
So, where was I? Okay, so yeah, the class. And it's very, you're guided towards, moving and doing all this sorts of, so they describe it as self-study through practice, which is basically you don't stop moving the whole class. And whenever you are, or that's how she puts it, whenever you're tempted to stop, ask yourself why you want to stop. Because it has nothing to do with your physical ability to do something.
So is it sort of like a Tony Robbins thing?
No, it's a boot camp. You're doing jumping jacks.
So it's a boot camp. It's not like an educational camp. Or is it
it's education.
Okay.
It's everything together. I've never been to a Tony Robbins.
No, me neither. But I mean, I've seen a lot of the clips on even social media. I mean, it's almost like a big concert. And everybody's encouraged to, move, and energy goes where energy flows or something like that.
I mean, yeah, but I think this is more spiritual. I mean, yeah, kind of, because you're encouraged, like, the idea would be for you to keep on moving continuously because you are part of the dynamic of the energy of the room. So, yes, in that sense, but it's a very spiritual experience because you genuinely, like, whenever you go into these classes, you're very concerned, or at least in the beginning, you're concerned about, my hair, or what if I don't move properly, or what if this, and by maybe the second song, by half the first song, you're like, Okay, like my ponytail is gone. I'm just moving and I'm, you get into it.
So do they give you like a certificate at the end, like you passed like
no,
the
no,
energy movement?
No. These are like classes people go to on a daily basis.
So it's like for self-improvement. It's not for you to like teach other people, or is it?
No, which I'm very curious about because honestly, I would totally.
So it is about that. So it was about self-improvement.
Yes.
So do you feel improved?
But it's an exercise. I do.
You do?
No, see.
I feel like we need to give people a little bit of a background on who you are, though. So, like, the reason Vicky and I know each other is because we've known each other since elementary school. We started kindergarten together.
Miss Irma was our teacher.
Miss Irma? Yes. I don't remember Miss Irma. No, Miss Resek.
No, Miss Irma.
So, anyways.
Whom I saw again. Like
Miss Irma?
Oh,
well,
that's like 2 years ago.
How is she? Who is she?
She's cute. She's our teacher, the same person.
Listen, I remember Miss Resek. We were in the same class. So, if Miss Resek, if you're watching, I hope you're proud.
I don't know if, like, by the 5th episode, our school will be proud of it. But
no, that's okay. I hope you're proud of it. You watch her. But anyway, so we've known each other since we were like 5 years old. We both share the same last name, Dominguez, but we're not really related. But we've just always gotten along. Because I'm sure there's people you've known since you were 5 years old, but like you didn't really connect or get along with them. And so you're kind of like, oh, where are they now? I don't know. But we've kind of stayed in touch. And anyways.
Well, and we genuinely were like stuck together. I mean, I don't think we had an option.
Yeah.
Like, because of the last name, it was always like Marcy and Vicky.
Oh, yeah.
Marcy and Vicky.
Yeah, we were always like side by side on a list, of alphabetical order. Same last name.
Yeah.
But on top of that, like, I think our personalities always overlapped in some sort of way to where there was always, like, we never had a discord. We never had a disagreement. Like, she had enough of her own friends. I had enough of my own friends. We had enough of our own separate lives to where we were never, like, together all the time. But we always had somewhat of,
well, and we were friends, and we respected the fact that we had grown up together. Yeah, so there was, like, this, in Spanish, it's derecho de antigüedad. Oh, like, okay. The seniority, dude, I grew up with this chick, like, leave it alone.
Right. I know. I was about to do a hand gesture, but okay, I won't do it. Yeah, I mean, it's because you've like inspired me to just like be a little bit more free in this podcast. So now I feel like I should be open to doing all sorts of gestures. But
you should.
Well,
I mean, in general, in life, which is another conversation we were having, where we were saying like, I don't have time to, not in this point in my life, to edit who I am. Like, if I'm going to sit with you, it's because there's a point, there's a purpose, it's adding to my life.
Right.
Like, I have time, but I don't have any time to waste.
Right. Right. And so to kind of fast forward to where we are now, I ended up going to law school, having kids, etc. And Vicky also went to school. She studied to be
I went to school. I graduated with a BA in psychology and sociology, double major, which I love sociology. And then I went to graduate school to do counselor school, mental health counseling, in Miami. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up staying over there for quite some time.
Yeah.
That's another story.
Which we will get to in the future episode.
And then the universe Florida, like, spit me out, and I ended up
chewed her up and spit her out.
Chewed me out. Yes,
you
correct.
Forgot the chewed up.
Okay. And then I came back home. Which is the border area.
El Paso, Texas, Juarez.
Juarez and El Paso.
People. Yeah.
Juarez.
And
Juarez and El Paso, yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it's mostly El Paso. Because I don't even remember the last time I was in Juarez.
Yeah, but when you grow up here, it's the same thing.
Yeah, it is the same thing. Kind of. I mean, we don't have stores that are called, like, do you still have Benavides?
Yes.
Oh, see, we don't have Benavides. But I mean, I digress. But those are like,
Yeah, well, anyway. So that's why it's complicated when they ask you, like, you know, where are you from? Well, I'm from Mexico, but I grew up in... No, I'm a U.S. citizen, but I grew up in Mexico, but I went to school in the U.S., but I lived in Mexico, but So it's just a whole cultural experience.
Yeah.
To be in the border.
It really is, because I think that when you, like, leave El Paso, you're right. Like, people do say, oh, where are you from? In casual conversation. And so some people might say Texas. Oh, okay, but more specifically, I'm from El Paso. So for me, that feels accurate. But I think that if you were to say like El Paso, like they would get to know that it's much more than El Paso for you. Okay, so that's a background of how we know each other.
Correct.
And how we got to this place now. So
well, yeah.
Yeah. And so then when we recently had a meeting, we kind of figured out, wow, like we're still some of the same person that we were back then, but we've also changed so much, as people do change over time. You know, people have families, they start becoming very involved with their careers, they start asking themselves they start becoming very introspective and wondering like what their passions, their dreams,
what their goals
who
are. Who am I? What am I gonna do?
Right.
What do I want to, you know?
And one of my goals, which brought me here literally to this table with her, was to kind of establish more of a social connection that I felt like I was really missing. So I'm sure if you're a mom and you're listening to this, you all know that you can become very closed off to a lot of other people once you establish a family. And while that can be great because you drive a lot of focus, you know, inward into what really matters, you also might tend to lose sight of the other things that were important simply because of lack of time or whatever your reason is. And so for me, that was like reestablishing connections again. For me, it was really important to like laugh with an adult, laugh with another female who on some level could understand me, but maybe laugh with somebody who has a life so different to mine, but who grew up in some ways with similar morals, ethics, and values, that we could still reconnect and be like, you know what, she respects me in spite of, or, you know, whatever. Like, we get each other on some level, even though we have
like,
such
I hear
lives.
I hear you. I see you.
Yeah.
and that's why, like, we sat that day and I told you, I think it's so important. Like, I genuinely, you know, kudos to you that you have the 3 kids and you're an entrepreneur and you do the whole shebang. But seriously, man, like, you need to take some time to breathe, to be Marcy, to laugh, to talk about stupid stuff. It's very important for your mental health.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that one thing that, you know, somebody who was here said, wow, it was like so nice to see you laugh so much. Like, as much as you did when you were talking with Vicky. And it was like, yes, it really was. Like, it really was. Because when you laugh with your significant other or when you laugh with your kids, like, sure, it's enjoyable. And it touches you in the same way that any kind of laugh would. But it's just different. It, like, touches you in a different kind of way when you can, like, just identify with somebody. And just like you said, like, they hear you and they see you. Like, I think sometimes you have a way of saying certain things where I'm like, damn, where have you been all my life?
No, but you need to know, like, Marcy is, you know, she's so structured and I'm a mess sometimes. Not a mess.
I'm not necessarily structured, but I'm very focused. So, like, if
she's very methodical. Methodical is the word. Methodical is the word.
That I am.
And I'm more of like...
I like analogies.
You know, like, we've been talking about, like, how we're going to do this. And I'm like, dude, let's just talk. Let's just, you know, get it out there. And she's like, yeah, but the bullets, So...
I didn't say the bullets, but I did say, okay, so how are we going to start this podcast? Do you have your
Not bullets, but the outline.
Preparation is important.
It is, but... I'm more of a, like, let's just let it flow. Like, let's be guided. Let's be guided. Let's see what we're guided to do, you know? And she's like, okay, I get it, but
we need to have a topic for today. Yeah. I love you, but we need a topic for today.
Which I told you, our topic was, it's December already, 2019. 1 month less than 1 month away from 2020, which energetically speaking is like 2020 is like going to be another universe. But this was our topic, December. And so I was curious about, what did you learn this year? Like, what did this year bring to your life that you're like, this is how I need to move forward. This is how which we kind of spoke about my situation in New York. Why am I not taking aligned action towards what I want? Why have I just sat on my, for example, coaching practice and not having it growing as maybe I could? Because I can meet people and I can sell it and I can do, but why haven't I just done it? You know? What did you learn?
Oh my gosh. You can't ask me those types of introspective questions, because that's where I start like having diarrhea of the mouth.
Good.
No, but I really do start having diarrhea of the mouth when you ask me introspective questions.
We had an AP teacher, remember?
She did not like me, remember? Don't forget
Miss
it.
Wilson.
Yeah.
So AP English, and her hashtag, like now it would have been a hashtag, before it was just what she said. Verbosity is grossity.
Yeah, well, that's me. Sorry.
Well,
I must be a disgusting fat
I talk, and she hated my essays. Because I could write, like, 30-page essays, like, you know, I would go on and on and on.
Yeah, well, that's how I was, except verbally, and she didn't like that.
Well, me neither. No me vale. Miss Wilson. And then her husband was economics.
Yeah.
Which he was awesome. And he taught me. And I can remember him like it was yesterday. I can remember conversations like from forever. But anyway, there's no such thing as a free lunch. I remember he said it the first day of class, and he said, if you're going to learn anything, like, I don't care, you know, if you don't learn anything, except, ladies, there is no such thing as a free lunch.
So how does that translate into 2019, 2020?
You need to work it. Like, you gotta work it. You have to. I mean, I don't believe in suffering necessarily, but I think you pay your dues.
Yeah, and that's exactly right.
You pay your dues.
I'm here to tell you that's exactly right.
Yeah, basically. For everything.
For everything.
I mean, you have kids, you pay your dues.
Exactly.
You don't have kids, you pay your dues. Anything you choose has like
work involved.
Yeah, it has work involved. It has certain elements that maybe you learn along the way. It has things that come up that you haven't contemplated. It has ups and downs and everything in between. So you pay your dues.
Yeah, that's right.
And if it's too good to be true, probably.
Oh my gosh, that's what my mom always used to say.
Well, no, because I refuse to like believe in that. But I kind of learned that it's not in a mean way. It's just for reals. Like if it's...
I don't necessarily agree with that. I mean, I do agree with that to an extent. Like, if some telemarketer calls you on the phone and they're like, "Hey, we're going to give you $1 million."
Yeah, you just want to cruise to like.
Yeah,
then it's not going to happen.
Yeah, like that is too good to be true, and you should definitely not fall for it. But if, like, for example, there are people that we follow on social media that you're like, "Oh my gosh, is that really their life?" And sure, everybody only puts their best foot forward on social media, but some people do have the kind of life where we only dream of, not that we believe is attainable. Well, actually, yes, I do believe it's attainable, but there's hard work that goes behind that. And so, yes, like, whatever you believe, you can achieve.
I believe that.
But it has, yes, but like you were saying, there is hard work attached to that. It's somebody's hard work. So if it's the wife or whatever sharing her, like, glitz and glam, like, it might have been through the husband's hard work that she was able to attain that, or vice versa.
But still, like, even then, she's paying her dues. I mean, even if you think somebody's not paying her dues, they're paying their dues.
No, no. I mean, she's paying her dues in a different kind of way. Maybe she's has the responsibility of paying the housekeeper or taking care of
or
the
she
kids.
has to look cute all the time, or she has to meet certain requirements, or we've had this conversation.
We have had this conversation, but I mean, we'll leave that topic for a different day.
Okay.
But maybe that seems like the superficial kind of hard work that's involved in maintaining a certain type of lifestyle, whereas the flip side of the coin, in my opinion, is like the type of hard work that it takes to attain something of your own and on your own. Does that make sense? Like if you want to have your own business, if you want to have your own podcast, you want to build your mental health.
But this is also the thing. Like when you're doing something that you like, and when you're doing something that you enjoy, even if you wake up at 5:30 a.m. to like write your to post on your Instagram, to write your captions, to make sure the picture makes sense with what you're writing.
She gets up at 5:30 a.m. by the way.
Well, I recently became an early riser, and that happened.
Which is what all major entrepreneur influencers do.
And I don't do it on purpose. I promise I don't. I just started because I'm getting more into the meditations and, kind of developing and programming and everything. So I've been reading about this, and like how you program yourself to wake up, and it's true. Like I don't put an alarm clock. I wake up and I say, for example, today I said 6:30. 6:07 wasn't 5:30, but it was 6:07. I woke up and I'm like, okay. And whereas like before I would stay and just like, no, now it's like I have no time to wait.
She doesn't know it, but she's actually like putting herself through training to be a really great mother, or to be in motherhood. Because when those kids wake you up at like 6:30, you're like, yeah, I'm good to go at 6:07.
We're done. Boom. I've been up for 3 hours, kids. Well, that's good. See, like I don't know it. Well, that's the thing about life. You don't know it, but you're always
in training for something.
You're always putting yourself. You're always setting yourself up for like stuff.
Yeah.
And I like that about life. Like I believe in the magic of the universe. Okay, so I believe in the surprises of that the universe.
Okay, so pretend I'm life. What would you say to life?
Oh, currently? Oh, you're good, man. What would you say to life?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know.
See,
you pass by so quickly.
You do.
You pass by so quickly. But
look at us talking like our moms.
No, dude, my mom does not say the words you say.
My mom does. But
she does? Oh. I feel like a lot of people, I mean, I don't want to speak for all mothers, right? Because there's just so many and we're all too different. But I mean, I would feel like I think a lot of mothers would say that too. Like they've had to censor themselves along the way, or they've had to change who they are. Because when you're raising other kids or, children, it's like you cannot be the same person that you were before.
Well,
or maybe you can. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, but I think like changing is I don't mean it in a way where like I'm not going to change who I am. No. On the contrary, I think if you're not growing and you're not changing, then something's fucked up. I read a quote yesterday that said, if you're not happy, if you're getting older, but you're not getting happier, then you're up.
Well, that's similar to like what Grant Cardone says. He goes, if you're not growing, then you're dying. If your business isn't growing, then you're dying.
Correct.
Which is true, because then you're just at a stand. I mean, you could be at a standstill, but...
Well, not even only business, because I feel like a lot of people,
Yeah, and everything.
Yeah, like your life, or if you're not growing as a person, if you're not growing as mom, if you're not... Whatever you consider your...
Yes.
Niche.
Wait, weren't we talking about...
Okay, we're talking about... It's December,
yes.
And so what did you learn? True.
That,
In moving forward... What is something that you
seriously, that's
that this year like
seriously, like that's seriously what I felt looking back on this year was time passes so quickly. It really does. And I know it's like such a cliche thing to say, but like for example, at the beginning of this year I hired a business coach because I had huge aspirations for what I wanted my business to look like a year from January.
Correct.
And
which
so
will be next month.
Which will be next month, right? And so, you know, did that business coach end up working out? No, because we weren't the right fit for each other. And so then now that it's January, I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, it is so easy for people to like have these dreams and goals and visions, but without any planning along the way, like literally time just escapes you. Time will just escape you. And so yes, that's why I've also realized that planning is important. Like you can have this idea that, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to have a podcast. But like, okay, what is the plan? You need to have somewhat of a plan. Otherwise, time just escapes you. And then you have all these podcast episodes, but then like, have you decided like what the ultimate goal is for the podcast? Mm-hmm. And so in hindsight, that's why I think that some kind of planning is important throughout the process.
Which, to speak of that, our goal sitting here is, I mean, for one, it was that we spoke about the therapeutic element of sitting down and talking about
for me, this is
all
therapy.
These things.
For me, this is therapy
that concern her and concern me in a world where we couldn't be more different right now, honestly.
Yeah.
And also, what we spoke that night was to that sense of community that we women have, we women should have, you know, to a sense of community where we're speaking to the things that maybe you think you're feeling, I think I'm feeling, you think you're feeling, and that are purely and exclusive to us, and they're not.
Okay, but let's get into that, because I do want to ask, like, okay, you say you feel me, but like, and I believe you, I do believe you do, but I want to know how so, because from a mother's perspective, like, to me, it feels like, wow, like a single person like you has like all the time, all the liberty in the world to do whatever you want. How could you possibly like feel me? Like, are you saying that you feel the same feelings in some way?
I'm saying, I think that all of us in like the very basic, the very basic part, we feel fear and we feel stress. And we feel sadness, and we feel joy, enthusiasm, and we feel nervousness, and we feel, you know, all these things. Like, are they caused by your child vomiting at 3 a.m. and you being concerned about his fever? Whereas are they caused by, I don't know,
emotionally unstable beings?
Exacto.
Dragging you through the mud?
Exacto. I don't know. Like, you know, that varies. But the emotion in the most raw, pure sense, we feel it, you know? And I feel like we need to have, instead of like a perspective where it's like, no, I've been, like, I feel worse, or I feel, you know, I think we should, as women, come together and say, and have a sense of community where I can see you and you can see me. And I think this is the goal, the overall goal. You know, to understand that we all go through. Not even only women. I mean, men too. We're humans. We're in this world. We're all kind of like going through the motions, surfing the waves, and it's important to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think.
Yeah. I think this was a much easier transition than like, because we all need to talk about it, right? But then the next thing everybody says is, oh, maybe therapy is like the right thing for you. Because there you can like vent, you can, you know, tell
I believe in therapy. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think there are so many people out there now, thank goodness, that on Instagram are saying like, if everybody had a therapist, the world would be a better place. If everybody had a therapist, the world would be a better place.
I think if everybody would cut their and be, you know, honest people with integrity, then the world would be a better place.
Yeah, but some people need a therapist to help them cut through the
No, I know, but it's very, I mean, see, that's where we get into it. Like, I think it's very, like, there are things that are very clear cut. in my head. And I don't know, maybe that's been one of my issues in life, where it's like, dude, you should know. And this is removing like the clinical hardcore issues. I'm talking about people who, you know, are just like first world problems. You're not, because you can be and
because you want a better car, or your watch got dinged,
or you can
lost your gift
you can card. Afford it. You can give yourself the luxury of being an asshole. You just were told by your parents that you're the king or queen of the world and you can do it. I don't know, whatever.
Which, by the way, I feel happens in Mexican households. Don't you? Like, you're told from a very young age that you are like...
I wasn't. Not really. I mean...
Weren't you like baby, the best? Because you were the first child, so wasn't it like...
I mean, I was the first child for like 3 months, because then my brother came along.
He stole the spotlight.
Yeah, she was pregnant. I mean, she had me in February, and then by next June, like, my brother was...
Oh, okay, all right.
Well, no, I think... Ugh.
But
we're gonna get into the latter.
But what do you think? I mean, do you not think that's true? Like that? How do you think generally, like, Mexican families are with their children? I feel like, because I can tell
I think it varies a lot. Like, depending on the family. I think it's not only Mexican. I honestly think it varies a lot from like the family values. You know, like, for example, us. Growing up, and I think you mean like we were babied in the sense where, did they make breakfast for us? Yes, they did. Did we, did they do the laundry for us? Yes, we had the laundry done. I mean, stuff like that. But my mom is a businesswoman, and, you know, we were expected to work like from when we were little. You know, like, I knew what my mom, like, what was in the warehouse, what this, what that, and I was like taking the Iowa test in 2nd grade.
Iowa.
Yeah. So I, you know, like, yes, there were perks, but I paid my dues. And I think, like, recently I posted a story on my Instagram because my niece and nephew came down for Thanksgiving.
Tell them about your Instagram.
My Instagram is Meditaciones de una Loca, which is Spanish.
But it's by Meditaciones de una
Loca. Okay, yeah, correct. By Meditaciones de una Loca. Yes, and there you can read me and personal development, self-actualization, meditation, inner work, everything that has to do with...
Tell her she needs to post more pictures of herself on there. Just tell her.
No.
Go look at her profile and then tell her in the comments below.
Why?
I just tell her. I mean,
that's peer pressure, man.
It is peer pressure. But you know what? At least I'm not encouraging you to, like, drink and drive. I'm not encouraging you to, like...
And you know, I've had this conversation with people, and my take is, like, I don't want to make it about me. You know? I want to make it about the genuinely, like, doing the work. And by that, I mean establishing your spiritual practice, your self-care, your self-love.
Right. She's all about the messaging. She's all about the messaging. But I told her that she needs to post pictures of herself because people always want to know who's behind the brand.
Yes, I know.
So, who's right? Vicky?
Or Marcy?
Marcella,
sorry. See, I've been calling you Marcy since kinder. You should have told me that, like, when we were Miss Castle's 1st grade.
Why Miss Castle? I should have told you that in Miss Resek. I had a voice then too, damn it.
Miss Resek. Ya me acordé de ella.
Yeah, I told you.
Ya me acordé. Anyway, what were we talking about? Okay, so follow me on By Meditaciones de una Loca, and I'll start posting more pictures of myself.
And mine is Arts Music Lawyer, which might change, but for now it's Arts Music
We're
Lawyer.
working on it. 2020 is coming. Back to the topic.
Back to the topic.
So this is December. so your year went by?
My year went by, I feel, very, very quickly, because after that, now that I'm soon approaching January, I look back and I'm like, man, like I had a different vision for what I wanted my life to look like at this point. So it's hard to look.
Can you leave that? No. Stop there.
I'm not letting her know.
I had a different vision of what my life was supposed to be.
I'm not saying I was going to hop into my private jet. I'm not saying that.
No, but I think that's life, man. Como que
yeah, that's
I
true.
had a different vision. Yes. And we talked about this like half an hour ago. Mm-hmm. There are ups and downs and turns and twists that you never expect.
Yeah, I know. And this is part of the reason why I like having these conversations, is because you force me, like, of course I already know that throughout these ups and downs, there are very good things that happened throughout this year. So even though the business coaching didn't work out, like there were still other highs.
There are not only things that good things that happen to you. In the big scheme of things, you are where you need to be.
No, I'm not.
Yes, she is. And everybody is. You are where you need to be. And things worked out how they needed to work out to get you to your highest good. Mm-hmm. Even if you are unable to see this. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how I'm going to convince you of this, because every time I tell you this, you're like,
No,
but then you're like, you're not even looking at me. Seriously, how's that? Wait. Like,
okay, it is so nice to have like an adult, another human, like treat me the way I treat people. This is what I say to Tim. Damn it, are you even looking at me? What are you looking at right there?
Pajarito.
Yes. No, and I totally am listening to you. I
know you are, but then you go off on like, no. I can see Marcy here saying, no es cierto, this didn't work out, and that's not how it should have. And remember what I told you? I said, do you genuinely want to spend time thinking that it should have been another way? Or say, audit, like we're doing right now, and then say, bueno, like, from the premise that everything is how it's supposed to be, and everything was how it was supposed to turn out, I have learned these lessons that can now take me to the next level.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that's how it works.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I answered that question that way because, well, the question was asked, but I mean, do I dote on the fact that it didn't turn out a certain way? No, I don't. And I do what you described, which is I'm taking the good from this year. I'm, coming up with new ways to do things that I want to do and that I want to implement, and trying to strategize like how I'm going to get there.
And you've even gotten more creative. Like, you've developed new notions of what your business could be.
Right, like things that...
Tapping into stuff that...
Yeah, that I was talking to you about.
Maybe...
That you looked at me like I was crazy?
No. But before, maybe you hadn't even tapped into that stuff.
Yeah, I mean...
And the way the year worked out allowed you to get to this place.
Right, that's very true. Because it is something that I had thought about, but I thought that wouldn't make sense, like, with what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so what we're talking about is that, I have my YouTube channel for for Trademark Lawyer, which is where I share a lot of information about trademark applications. And so I wanted to expand into other topics, but it wouldn't have made sense for me to initially like create topics in other areas, because like the focus had to be what you currently see on the channel now. And so now I think maybe that has allowed me a little bit of leeway to be able to expand into other topics, which is ultimately a test right now, because I won't know if it's going to work until I actually do it. And I think
in reality, what we talked about was the fact that we talked about the learning curve of trying new things, and we talked about
how everything is a test, really.
Yeah, the starting phase. Like, but if I do this, then I'm gonna have to go through the learning curve, and then again, I feel like I'm back at square one. But in reality, we're not back at square one.
Right.
We're expanding. So if we're expanding, it means, of course, we need to go through the learning curve because that's just how it happens.
And I think that's definitely something that I appreciate about entrepreneurship, because I've been introspective enough about this topic that I'm like, why have I always said I wanted to be an entrepreneur? And that's because you are constantly learning something. Like, whether you're at the very beginning stages or whether you're already at the point where you own your Maserati or private jet or Bentley or whatever, like, those people are still learning something. Because those
with the private jet.
Listen, like, if there is one thing that I feel I would want, like, to ask Santa Claus for, it would be like, bring me a private jet. Because
okay, since we did talk about, you know, December coming soon, well, kind of, and everything in between. But since we did, you know, talk about just closing out the year, I think it's important that we be more introspective about aligned action and how we're going to do it in 2020.
I like it.
Which is what my workshop's going to be about. And it's pretty exciting. 2020 is it's going to be a very good year for all of us. And with a lot of changes. Mm-hmm. So let's just roll with the punches.
And until then, people, we'll see you on our next episode, which will probably be once a week, every Thursday.
Correct. Thank you.